This is 10 things that every pilot or every person that flies aircraft in GTA Online should know. Some of this is new, some of it is old, but I wanted to combine it all into one video so you don't have to go searching on my channel for all the solo videos. We'll start with the new stuff in case maybe some of you guys have seen the old stuff. But the first thing, and this is just a little tip, you can actually use Chrome to your advantage. And this is the only time I'll ever advocate for using Chrome on a vehicle. But if you put Chrome on, let's say, the Hydra or like the Besra or, really any of the jets in the game, it almost works as like a mirror. And it's kind of cool when you're flying around. You almost sort of blend into the background because everything's so shiny. So that's something you may want to consider putting on one of your planes for daytime usage. If you go high enough and in certain weathers, it really is hard to see you. So that could totally be used to your advantage. Now, alternatively, for nighttime, and I think many people probably know this, but I would just go ahead and put like a matte black for nighttime, just because the black on the black sky makes you super difficult to see. So if you take your PvPing in aircraft seriously, then you might want to consider those two little tips. Now, going off of that, you can actually have more than one Pegasus plane in your hangar. I didn't know about this until yesterday. So for instance, you can have multiple Hydras, or you could have multiple Buzzards or multiple Valkyries or any of the planes. And what's cool is they don't even disappear from your Pegasus list. So if you want to combine this with the first tip, then what you can do, let's say for the Hydra, is have one in Chrome that you call and that you use during the day, and then one in matte black that you call and use during the night. And the same can be said for any of the other planes or aircraft. But this is actually super helpful. Now, the one downside to this is that when you are calling in your plane, it doesn't say Hydra 1 or Hydra 2, it just says Hydra. So for instance, if you have 5 Hydras that with all different paint jobs in your garage, good luck figuring out which one it is. I mean, I'm sure you probably could, but it would still be a little difficult to figure out which one's which based on the positioning in your hangar. Still though, this is kind of cool just to have in your hangar, because if you want to have 2 painted Hydras or 2 painted Bestras or 2 painted Buzzards, you now can, and it won't even disappear from Pegasus. Although, I will let you guys know that on the hangar, not sure if anyone has found this out yet, but I did, by continuing to put planes in my hangar, there is a 20 vehicle limit. So you can only have 20 aircraft in your hangar at a time. And that is between the floor and the storage space. One thing that I'm not sure if I actually mentioned this, but in your interaction menu in the vehicle section, you can set the bomb and the countermeasure controls to either co-pilot or pilot. So on some of the helicopters, for instance, the co-pilot really doesn't do much. So if you want them to maybe feel more active or more engaged in the fight, then let them control the countermeasures so they have something to do. The only one this really doesn't work on is the Tula, because the Tula has so many options on it. When you hit right on the D-pad, which normally is set for flares, it actually enables and disables the VTOL capabilities on it. So the pilot really will never be able to control flares on the Tula. But for all the other aircraft, you might want to, look into that if you play a lot with friends. Now, some little tips regarding some specific vehicles. The Besra is actually one of my favorite planes in the game. I know it kind of sucks in that it doesn't have weapons on it, but it's really fun to fly around. It's very fast and it looks kind of cool. Well, one thing that is kind of unfortunate with it, when you bring it into your hangar, you can only customize the primary color. There's no secondary option. And you'll notice, like on this one, for example, it has a yellow color that I cannot change. So no matter what I put the primary to, there's always going to be the yellow. But actually, if you go ahead and call in another Besra from Pegasus, you will notice that some of them are not the same. I think one I had a black livery instead of the yellow, and then another one I had was red. So depending on what color you want your Besra to be, keep calling Pegasus until you get a secondary color that you like. One thing that I thought looks really cool, if you get the red livery Besra, you can bring it into your garage, and I believe if you put Torino red on it, it turns it into a fully red plane, which I think looks really, really awesome. And you really can only achieve that by getting the red Besra and putting it to a red primary. And the same Could be said for the yellow one, you can put a race yellow color to combine the two, but this also may apply to some of the other aircraft if they have certain liveries. Keep calling Pegasus to find one that you like before bringing it into your hangar. Speaking of customization, I don't know why Rockstar did this, because I don't think anyone really cares at this point, but you can no longer respray the Swift Deluxe, and the Luxor Deluxe. Now, I'm not sure why you would ever want to respray the Swift Deluxe and the Luxor Deluxe, because you probably spent $15 million total on them, and they're gold. So I don't know why you would want to spend that much money to get a non-gold version. But you can't actually spray the Swift, the regular version, and make it gold. You can, however, do this for the Luxor, which I'm not sure what's going on there, but I did just want to mention that in this video, because I think before, like when the update came out, you could respray the Swift, but then for whatever reason Rockstar took it out. Another thing that is specific to an aircraft is this next tip, and it has to do with the Starling. The Starling is the one that uses the rocket propulsion sort of system to take off, and this little plane is actually very useful, in the right hands. So what you're going to see in the gameplay is me crashing this plane into the water, but still managing to fly it around. If you time it correctly, like you can't stay in the water for too long, but if you go into the water and then come right out with the propulsion system, your plane will be fine. I did it like 5 times in a row and I didn't even see smoke from my plane. So that may be something you want to end up using if someone's chasing you. Dive into the water and then quickly come out. They probably won't follow you because they're not going to dive into the water unless they're trying to kamikaze you, but that's a totally different situation. But I thought that might be something that you want to know, because if you're like me, the Starling is one of my favorite planes from this aircraft, from this DLC, and I've been flying it a lot lately. And since Fort Zancudo is right into the water, and some of these missions, some of these supply missions take place, like they drop stuff on the water, you can still use the Starling if you're careful enough and be okay. So those were some of the new tips or tricks. Now the ones I have mentioned before, these are probably the most important, and I will leave the links to everything in the description. But the first one is a map of all the aircraft spawn points. This, I cannot tell you how useful it is. I know I just made the video on it like 2 days ago, but if you haven't seen it, check out the map, bookmark the map, so you know where your plane is going to spawn. So you could drive there first and not have to steal an NPC car or something to get there. If you don't want to use the map, or if you don't want to memorize the map, and you call your aircraft and it spawns very far away from you, become a CEO and call a Buzzard or call any CEO vehicle. Then you can take that and go get the aircraft. Alternatively, you could just start using an MOC, because the MOC is separate from personal vehicles. So that might be something you end up using. The MOC is kind of a tank anyway, so you're not going to really get griefed much. But use either of those two if you want to go to your personal aircraft. And then the final one, the most important, the one I use all the time, call Gerald, request a job, request a mission from him. And then whenever you call an aircraft that doesn't require a super long strip to take off, go to your phone, go to the job list, start up the mission from Gerald, and then quickly hit B. Once it puts you into the little menu, it takes maybe 10 seconds. Once you get back into free roam, which will be the same lobby, your aircraft will spawn right next to you. That is so helpful if you don't want to drive or go to any of the places that they spawn and you just want the aircraft right next to you immediately. And one last thing I did forget to mention, if you are in need of parachuting or ejecting from your plane while in the air and you don't want to end up calling Moores Mutual to pay $1,000 for the insurance, then what you can do if you are an MC is quickly go to your MC thing in your interaction menu and then hit return to garage before it does blow up. Even though it is only $1,000 for the insurance, that does add up over time. So if you want to save some money, then definitely do that. So there you guys have it. Those were 10 tips, tricks, facts, things that every pilot, I think, should know in GTA Online. If you want to add to this, then please do in the comment section. Maybe this could be some sort of hub for awesome pilot information. But thank you all. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more awesome GTA content. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.